This is Viewpoint with attorney and author Chuck Crismier. Viewpoint is a one-hour open-line talk show confronting the issues of America's heart and home. To express your viewpoint, please call 804-754-1988. That's 804-754-1988. And now, with today's edition of Viewpoint, here is Chuck Crismier.
Today we're going to talk about horses, or at least one horse, a Trojan horse that comes out of a legend of ancient Greek history in the 12th or 13th century, describing an attempt to defeat an enemy by deceit. Friends, I'm in the midst of writing a book called Seduction of the Saints, How to Live Pure in a World of Deception, and I've got to tell you that deceit is rampant in our world. It has always been, because Satan is the god of this world, the prince of the power of the air that works in the children of disobedience. And quite frankly, he is out to deceive you. His premier goal is to deceive those who claim to be followers of Christ. Now, in order to do that, he has got to present things in such a way that you believe them and have a very strong reason to want to believe them. In fact, at the root of almost all deception is the will to be deceived. Now, we just don't really understand that. We don't think that we're willing to be deceived, but the reality is that the reason we are deceived usually is because we have a latent will to be deceived. Well, that happened with the Greeks. According to the legend, the Grecian state attacked the city of Troy to rescue Helen, the wife of Sparta's king. As legend has it, Helen had been kidnapped by Paris, the son of Troy's king. After 10 years of fighting outside the walls of Troy with no success, the Greeks devised a way to gain entrance to the city through trickery, deceit. To deceive the Trojans, they built a large wooden horse on wheels, and they left it as a gift for the city of Troy. And then the Greeks just sailed away, or at least it appeared that way. The Trojans foolishly believed that the battle was over. They gleefully took the horse inside the city as a trophy, the worst thing they could have ever done. As the Trojans were celebrating their victory, the Greek ships quietly returned, and Greek soldiers hidden inside the hollow horse crept out and opened the city gates for the invading army. That night, the Greeks rescued Helen, killed the Trojans, desecrated their temples, burned Troy, and their victory was due to one deceptive gift called the Trojan horse. You say, well, what are you talking about that here on Viewpoint today? That is ancient history. Well, it is ancient history, but we still use the phrase. And the reason we still use the phrase is because it has applicability to you and to me today, and particularly to the church in one specific area that is so devastating. It is equally devastating to the church today that Trojan horse was wheeled into Troy in the days of the Greeks back in the 12th or 13th century. So today on Viewpoint, we unfold this Trojan horse that has entered the church and bringing untold destruction and devastation. And believe it or not, just as ancient Troy had a will to be deceived by that Trojan horse, even professing Christians today have a will to be deceived by this modern Trojan horse. Our special guest today on Viewpoint, Joseph Webb, with his book, Divorce and Remarriage, the Trojan horse within the church. Joe, it's good to have you on the program.
It's good to be with you, Chuck.
Well, Joe, what a story back there in ancient history. It's been said that the only thing we learn from history is that we don't learn from history,
right.
And it seems that that's true today.
That's true. But the only difference is, Chuck, that we have been pre-warned that we were going to be deceived. In 2 Timothy, the 4th chapter, he said, "For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, but after their own lusts shall heap to themselves teachers having itching ears, and they shall turn away their ears from the truth and be turned unto fables." Another place it talks about men's misguided ideas and doctrines of devils.
Well, it does, but church members, they're being warned today about atheism and evolution and humanism and rationalism that seem to be threatening our Western way of life. Since the leaders feel this threat's coming from outside the church, religious fellowships and denominations and so on are organizing to resist and expose the philosophy. We call it the culture wars. Mm-hmm. However, Joe, here's the problem. While religious leaders for the last 30 years have been frantically pointing the danger of rationalistic humanism through the culture wars outside the church, what they don't realize is they have ushered in a Trojan horse inside the church that is bringing more devastation than all of the stuff outside.
Well, they've not only brought it in, but they have welcomed it now.
Mm-hmm.
They have promoted it now.
Yeah.
They have encouraged it now. But let me stop for a moment, Chuck, and tell you that my heart is with pastors. And the minute we start talking about this, pastors begin to throw up a wall of defense.
Right.
And I want them to know that I understand why they're doing that. We, as pastors, have been deceived. I have 2 doctoral degrees, and in all of my teaching, all my seminary, all my college, all my Christian training, never once was I told about the information I'm going to share today. Never in a class did I ever know about it. In fact, I spoke at a Christian college in Minnesota about 2 years ago, and I presented some of this truth that I'm going to be presenting today, and the head of the department stood, because I was speaking to the honors class in critical thinking,
mm-hmm.
the top students. And he said, Brother Webb, I've never heard 90-some% of what you said tonight ever in any of my training, but it is so concrete, I don't know how the church is going to get around it.
Well,
Pastors
the problem is
teaching.
that we don't really want to hear it. Just like the Trojans, you see, there is a latent will to be deceived.
But the tragedy is, Chuck, the pastors, this is what they've been taught, and they thought that their professors knew the answer.
I have a letter in my file right now from someone who very heavily involved in one of the larger churches in Texas, mm-hmm. Involved America Ministries, is going to put this brand new book in your hands. You don't want to miss it. Give us a call, 1-800-SAVE-USA. That's 1-800-SAVE-USA. Write to us at Save America Ministries, P.O. Box 70879, Richmond, Virginia, 23255. Writing a check at $4 for postage and handling. Get it on our website, saveus.org. You say, well, I don't really want to listen to the rest of it. That indicates you're not a truth lover, my friend. Not a truth lover. We'll be back with you after this break. Stay tuned. We're surgically dissecting the issues for destiny here on Viewpoint today. Not only that, but we're discipling for destiny as we talk about this matter of our marriages and the devastation that is taking place through divorce and remarriage. In the February 2001 issue of Charisma magazine, Jack Hayford, who is a very prominent and respected pastor, teacher, and speaker, posed a question: do marriage vows matter? He said it's confrontation that needs to face down a mindset that, if left unchanged, will bring an onslaught of hellish delusions. Friends, we already have the hellish delusions, and they're increasing dramatically. The Trojan horse that is bringing in these hellish delusions is in the church camp. It's in our pulpits. It's in our pews. It's in our seminaries. It's in our parachurch ministries. It's in our music. It's in our publishing companies. It's everywhere. Dr. Linda Mintle referred to Dr. Hayford's statement in an article in the June 2001 issue of Charisma magazine entitled "When the Vow Breaks." She said, it's time for Christians to rethink divorce. Has the church taken a secular view, she asked. Dr. Mintle went on to say that blurring between secular and Christian views begins in the mind and the heart. When we entertain the lies of our culture, we become disillusioned. Lies built on lies. They work on our feelings and eventually alter our relationships. And indeed they do. Indeed they have. For the last 15 years, the divorce rate in the church has been equal to or higher than the nation as a whole. In the Bible Belt of America has been 50%